This is the third video in the series on how to create a simple Gantt chart using Microsoft Excel. So far we have set up the basic template, we've put in our tasks, we've assigned them to people, and we've started putting in our dates. Now you notice here that there's an issue with the linkage in the formulas, and the reference number is not existing because we deleted a number of rows previously from there. So it's a fairly simple correction to make. You just enter a formula that refers to the end of the previous activity, and you add an extra day to allow this activity to start on the next one. And then hopefully all the formulas should adjust all the way through your spreadsheet, and all those reference points should be improved. There's also an additional column in some of the templates that you get called days, and what it does is it identifies how many days there are in that task or activity. So the first activity here has 7 days, which is a week. That allows for weekends because this template is set up for 7 days, knowing some organisations do actually work 7 days or 6 days and so on. Our second activity here, foundation construction, is 21 days, which is 3 weeks. So you'll see all the way down you can keep track of the number of days. You'll also note that some of the tasks commence on the same date, which means these tasks are running in what we call parallel or are happening at the same time. So they're finishing off the air conditioning, hooking up the water to the mains and hooking up the sewer all in the same week, and that's because those trades can potentially work together on the same site without getting in each other's way, and it shortens the schedule of that project. There's quite a complex formula for days, but usually you can find a template that already has it in there. Now, our Gantt chart is coming up very nicely, but what we can see at the bottom here is these last few tasks finish, but the final one, there's not actually a week of activity for that to commence in. So if we expand that again, we can slide down. It's a very simple measure to add an extra week or a number of weeks to your Gantt chart. You simply copy an entire week's worth of activities and then you paste it in to the next available column. And you can do this as many times as you like. You'll see that those dates follow on consecutively from the previous week. So as long as you copy the whole week, then that should be fine. You can copy 4 weeks if you want to, or 5, or a month, and you'll see that last activity is now visible on the screen there. So this is the last activity in our Gantt chart, and if we zoom out and slide over, you'll see that the final activity is now identified there. We'll zoom back to normal so that we can continue working on this Gantt chart. Once you start to work on your project, for the beginning tasks, you'll be able to put your progress in. So if the grading's done but they haven't finished doing the layout for the plumbing, for example, on the site, you might say, okay, well, we are 30% complete on that activity, and you'll notice that once you put that in, it starts to shade in over here, and also the activity on the Gantt chart goes from purple to grey. There's a conditional format entered for this to occur, but for those of us who are fairly new to Excel, just trust in the fact that it's going to shade grey when you put in that percentage of work. And as you work through your project, this might be 90% complete, and they might start early on the construction elements of the foundation while they're doing the last little bit of site preparation on the other side of the site, and so on. So you'll find some activities can cross over as well. You see this one here, they're overlapping on the Sunday. The Sunday doesn't necessarily matter, but if you want to move those tasks along so they're not overlapping, remember that you can add a 1 to the formula, and that will slide your Gantt chart along one cell. Alright, so in addition to that, when you're working on projects, you tend to have some sort of numbering system in place for each task. So if you're assigning work to someone, you assign them tasks 3.4 and 3.5, or 4.1 to 4.9, rather than saying, well, you've got a frame, you've got to install the windows and the doors, and you've got to do this and that and the other. So it's an easy method of communication. And that is often called work breakdown structure numbering or project numbering. And you can insert a column for WBS or work breakdown structure numbering. So you simply add a column, put a heading in, and put your own numbering in. Now it will not auto calculate the numbers for you. You'll need to enter them based on what you've worked out previously on your project. So essentially you now have a complete and versatile Gantt chart. You can insert any additional rows, copy the formulas down, and make your Gantt chart as long as you choose, as long as you continue to insert your rows above this one here. The formulas will continue to apply, and your Gantt chart can be as big or complex or simple as you want it to be.